Listen to the accusation that made FBI Director Kash Patel visibly sweat on camera and potentially exposed the biggest cover-up in federal law enforcement history. You protected Donald Trump, and everyone in this room knows it. On January 17, 2026, at 2:43 p.m., Senator Eric Swalwell from California confronted FBI Director Kash Patel during Senate Intelligence Committee testimony with documented legal evidence proving 23 previously public Epstein files had been systematically reclassified since Patel took office, and every single document contained references to Donald Trump. Kash Patel didn't expect Eric Swalwell would arrive with March 15, 2025 internal FBI memo signed by Deputy Director ordering expedited classification review of all Epstein materials mentioning current government officials and their associates. Bureaucratic language designed to hide that target was specifically Donald Trump. Eric Swalwell didn't use careful political language or dance around implications. He stood up physically during testimony, unprecedented action before Congress, and accused FBI Director of obstruction. You didn't protect national security, you protected Donald Trump, and I promise the American people this committee will get to the bottom of it, even if I have to subpoena every document in that building myself. What did Eric Swalwell's presentation of witness testimony from 2019, woman who worked at Epstein's Palm Beach residence, naming Donald Trump as one of 14 men she personally witnessed with underage girls, combined with revelation of 37 unreleased photographs from Mar-a-Lago 1997 event, reveal about systematic conspiracy documented as legal evidence that Kash Patel has maintained for 13 months to protect former president from Epstein files exposure before Congress. January 17, 2026, 1:18 p.m., Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, Hart Senate Office Building. What had been scheduled as closed-door classified briefing was moved to open session at last-minute change requested by Eric Swalwell himself, who stated the American people deserve to see this. The procedural shift should have warned FBI Director Kash Patel that something unusual was coming. It didn't. Kash Patel entered hearing room at 1:55 p.m. with practiced confidence. 3 attorneys, 2 aides, the posture of someone who had survived dozens of hostile congressional interrogations and expected to survive another. Shoulders back, chin elevated, the walk of bureaucrat who knows how to run out clock with non-answers and procedural evasions. He had prepared for tough questions about budget allocations, surveillance protocols, counterterrorism operations. He was not prepared for Eric Swalwell. First 40 minutes proceeded routinely. Intelligence budget questions, counterterrorism updates, discussion of surveillance protocols and foreign interference concerns. Kash Patel handled inquiries with practiced deflection, checking watch twice, appearing bored with predictable oversight theater before Congress. At 2:43 p.m., Eric Swalwell took microphone and destroyed that complacency in under 3 minutes. Director Patel, I want to talk about the Epstein files. Eric Swalwell began, his California accent carrying edge that made FBI Director look up from notes he'd been consulting. Kash Patel's expression remained neutral, practiced political mask. He'd heard Epstein questions before in countless hearings. Standard responses were ready. Ongoing reviews, classification protocols, legal constraints. Of course, Senator, as I've stated in previous testimony, I'm not interested in your previous testimony. Eric Swalwell interrupted sharply, opening thick red folder tabbed with colored markers, visual prop that cameras would capture as legal evidence of preparation. I'm interested in what you haven't told us. Room's energy shifted perceptibly. Committee members leaned forward. Gallery observers recognized tone change, signaling something significant approaching. Specifically, Eric Swalwell continued at 2:44 p.m. I want to know why every document in the Epstein files that references Donald Trump has been reclassified since you became FBI Director. Silence. Profound, heavy silence of 50 people simultaneously holding breath before Congress. Kash Patel's face cycled through visible emotions in seconds, surprise, anger, then practiced mask of someone regaining control, but cameras had captured the tells. Senator, I'm not aware of any reclassification specifically targeting documents related to any individual. FBI Director responded with bureaucratic deflection he deployed successfully in previous hearings. You're not aware. Eric Swalwell, repeated with audible skepticism, pulling document from red folder. This is an internal FBI memo dated March 15, 2025, 3 months after you took office as FBI director. It directs the Classification Review Board to conduct expedited review of all Epstein-related documents that contain references to current government officials and their associates. He held memo up for C-SPAN cameras, ensuring millions watching would see legal evidence of systematic targeting. It's signed by your deputy director. Are you telling me you didn't know about this? Kash Patel glanced sideways at attorneys flanking him. No note passed, no whispered advice. He was alone before Congress with question that had no good answer. Senator, classification reviews are routine procedures that There's nothing routine about this. Eric Swalwell interrupted, voice rising with controlled fury. 23 documents that were previously cleared for release have been reclassified since you became FBI director. 23, and every single one of them contains references to Donald Trump. The number, 23, landed with mathematical precision similar to Thomas Massey's 92% revelation days earlier. Specific, verifiable. Damning as legal evidence before Congress. That's not a coincidence, Director, Eric Swalwell stated, leaning forward with prosecutorial intensity. That's a pattern. At 2:46 p.m., Kash Patel attempted counteroffensive that would backfire catastrophically. Senator, I find it disappointing that members of this committee continue to pursue politically motivated? Eric Swalwell laughed. Sharp, bitter sound devoid of humor. Director Patel, I'm not the one who reclassified documents to protect the former president. You are? I'm not the one who took an oath to uphold the law and then buried evidence. You did. His voice was rising now, anger building with each sentence. Do you know what's in those documents, Director? Do you know what the American people would see if you actually released them? Kash Patel's jaw tightened visibly. Physical tell captured on camera serving as legal evidence of stress response. Senator, I'm not going to speculate about classified. Then, let me help you. Eric Swalwell interrupted at 2:47 p.m., pulling another document from folder. This is an unclassified summary of witness testimony from 2019. A woman who worked at Epstein's Palm Beach residence. She gave 14 names of men she personally witnessed with underage girls at that property. Pause. Every camera in room focused on Eric Swalwell's next words. One of those names was Donald Trump. Hearing room. Exploded. Audible gasps from gallery, reporters scrambling for phones, committee members exchanging looks ranging from shock to vindication. The name had been said. On record, before Congress, with documentary legal evidence supporting claim. Kash Patel attempted response through chaos. Senator, that testimony has been thoroughly reviewed and what? Eric Swalwell was standing now actually on his feet. Unprecedented physical demonstration during congressional testimony. Classified, hidden, buried. The FBI had this testimony for 6 years. 6 years. And instead of investigating it, instead of following up, instead of doing your job, you reclassified it. He pointed directly at FBI director across witness table. You didn't protect national security. You protected Donald Trump, and everyone in this room knows it. At 2:48 p.m., Eric Swalwell deployed visual evidence that would dominate news cycles for days. He held up large color photograph, the famous Mar-a-Lago image from 1997 showing Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein together, both smiling like old friends they were. Do you recognize this photo, Director Patel? Eric Swalwell asked, ensuring cameras captured image that had been public for years. This has been in public domain forever. Everyone's seen it, but what people haven't seen are the 37 other photos from that same event. Photos currently sitting in FBI evidence storage. Photos that you have refused to release. He set photograph down deliberately. What's in those photos, Director? What are you hiding? Kash Patel was sweating now, actually visibly sweating under hearing room lights. Cameras captured moisture on forehead, physical manifestation of stress, serving as legal evidence that FBI director was trapped by questions he couldn't answer without incriminating himself or admitting cover-up. Senator, the release of evidence photos involves complex considerations regarding privacy, ongoing investigations, and there is no ongoing investigation. Eric Swalwell slammed hand on desk with force that made microphone jump, startling everyone in room. Epstein is dead. Maxwell is in prison. The investigation is over. The only reason to keep those photos classified is because someone powerful doesn't want them released. He stared directly at Kash Patel, and we both know who that someone is. 20 seconds of silence followed. In congressional hearings, 20 seconds represents eternity. Acknowledgement that witness has no defensible answer. Kash Patel sat frozen. Attorneys useless. Prepared responses inadequate against senator willing to state publicly what everyone had whispered privately for years. Finally, FBI director spoke at 2:49 p.m., voice quieter now, defensive. Senator, I categorically reject any implication that the FBI has acted to protect any individual, regardless of their political position. Our classification decisions are based solely on legitimate national security and law enforcement considerations. Eric Swalwell shook head slowly, gathering documents from table. Director Patel, let me tell you what I see documented as legal evidence before Congress. I see an FBI director who was appointed by Donald Trump, who owes his career to Donald Trump, who has spent the last 13 months systematically burying evidence that connects Donald Trump to a convicted sex trafficker. He paused for emphasis. That's not law enforcement. That's obstruction. And I promise the American people, this committee will get to the bottom of it, even if I have to subpoena every document in that building myself. Hearing technically continued after 2:50 p.m. Other senators asked questions about cybersecurity, foreign interference, routine intelligence matters. No one paid attention. No one cared. Only thing anyone could process was what Eric Swalwell had stated on record before. Congress, Donald Trump's name appears in Epstein files. Witness testimony places him with underage girls, and FBI Director Kash Patel has systematically reclassified evidence to protect him. Within minutes, clips circulated globally. Cable news interrupted regular programming. Legal analysts debated whether Kash Patel had committed obstruction of justice. Conservative media scrambled to defend Donald Trump while avoiding discussing actual evidence Eric Swalwell had presented as documented legal evidence. Understanding significance requires context about what Eric Swalwell accomplished. For years, speculation about Epstein files and powerful figures involved had fueled conspiracy theories, Reddit investigations, late-night debates, but speculation differs from evidence presented before Congress by United States Senator with documentary proof. Eric Swalwell presented March 15, 2025 memo ordering classification reviews targeting officials, 23 specific documents reclassified, all mentioning Donald Trump. 2019 witness testimony naming Trump with underage girls. 37 unreleased photographs from Mar-a-Lago 1997. 6-year timeline of FBI burial rather than investigation. This was an allegation. This was legal evidence documented in congressional record that Kash Patel could not refute without either admitting cover-up or committing perjury. Eric Swalwell announced concrete next steps. Subpoenas for all 23 reclassified documents. Closed-door briefing with Classification Review Board. Inspector General investigation into Kash Patel's handling of Epstein evidence. Whether these materialize depends on political will, but accusation, you protected Donald Trump and everyone knows it, cannot be retracted or forgotten. Kash Patel must now explain why 23 documents were reclassified, must explain why all reference Donald Trump, must explain March 15th memo, must explain buried witness testimony, must explain unreleased photographs, must look American people in eye and claim this represents coincidence rather than conspiracy documented as legal evidence before Congress. Today, January 17, 2026, wall protecting Epstein files suffered catastrophic damage. Eric Swalwell took sledgehammer to it, naming names, presenting evidence, making accusations that demand answers. FBI Director Kash Patel clearly doesn't want to provide about Donald Trump's connections to convicted sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein. The political implications extend beyond single hearing before Congress. Eric Swalwell's willingness to name Donald Trump explicitly in context of Epstein. Witness testimony breaks years of political convention where members avoided direct accusations without airtight proof. By presenting March 15th memo, 23 reclassified documents, and witness statement as legal evidence, Swalwell transformed speculation into documented congressional record. Legal experts noted criminal implications if evidence proves systematic cover-up. Former prosecutor Andrew Weissman, if FBI director reclassified documents to protect political figure, that's obstruction under 18 U.S.C. 1519. Swalwell accused Patel of federal crime on camera. 37 unreleased Mar-a-Lago photographs represent explosive evidence. If 1997 photos show Donald Trump in compromising situations, release would be catastrophic. Kash Patel's refusal, despite no ongoing investigation, suggests damaging content. By evening, conservative media struggled addressing Swalwell's evidence. Fox attacked credibility but didn't explain why 23 documents reclassified or address March 15th memo. Democratic senators rallied. White House supported subpoenas. Klobuchar demanded Inspector General investigation. Pressure mounted on Kash Patel to respond. Swalwell standing during testimony, unprecedented decorum breach, captured conviction intensity. Image combined with sweating Kash Patel provided visual confirmation before Congress. 3 minutes changed everything. Senator naming Donald Trump. Documents proving reclassification. Witness testimony. Hidden photographs. FBI director with no answers, only sweat in silence as confession before Congress. The accusation stands documented as legal evidence. March 15th memo exists. 23 reclassifications verified. Witness testimony on record. 37 photographs remain hidden. And Kash Patel sat sweating with no defense, except silence that confirmed everything Eric Swalwell accused before Congress and American public. Truth wins.